1967, The Dirty Dozen exploded onto movie screens like a grenade. It was bold, violent, subversive, and wildly successful. The idea of criminals trained for a suicide mission during World War II captured the public imagination and set the tone for countless war action films to follow. But what began as a one-off classic slowly evolved, or depending on your point of view, devolved, into a series of TV movie sequels through the 80s. Each one tried to recapture the original magic with mixed results. In 1988, the last installment of this unlikely franchise hit the airwaves, The Dirty Dozen, The Fatal Mission. Once again, Lee Marvin's Major Reisman was gone, but the torch had long since been passed to Telly Savalas, this time reprising his role as Major Reich. What made this one fatal? Was it the mission, the cast, or the state of the franchise itself? Today we're diving deep into the fourth and final movie in The Dirty Dozen legacy, a made-for-TV film that tried to go out with a bang, but may have ended with more of a whimper. We'll explore its story, its stars, how it stacks up against the earlier entries, and whether The Fatal Mission was truly the end this legendary franchise deserved, or just one last cash-in. Set in the waning years of World War II, The Fatal Mission brings us back to the blood-soaked killing fields of Europe. The Nazis are desperate, the Allies are pressing, but deep in the Balkans, Hitler is planning one last trump card. A secret meeting between top German officials and their Axis counterparts to forge a new alliance with Arab nations, potentially reigniting the war in the Mediterranean and the Middle East. Enter Major Reich. Played once again by the ever-cool Telly Savalas, this time as a character unrelated to the creepy maggot he played in the original, Reich is tasked with putting together another Dirty Dozen. Convicted murderers, thieves, and military criminals, men with nothing to lose, and maybe just enough guts to make a difference. The mission? Infiltrate enemy territory, locate the secret Nazi meeting in Yugoslavia, and eliminate every high-ranking official in attendance. It's not a rescue. It's not a theft. It's a straight-up assassination mission with global stakes. This new dozen includes a mix of tough guys, token specialists, and comic relief, following the tried-and-true formula of the franchise. The crew features a forger, a demolitions expert, a knife-throwing maniac, and a con man with an eye for the ladies. Familiar archetypes return, but they're not quite as fleshed out or memorable as the originals. Unlike the previous film, The Deadly Mission, which had the dozen rescuing scientists, The Fatal Mission raises the stakes. This time, they're stopping a diplomatic alliance that could prolong the war and cost countless lives. It's espionage meets assassination with a ticking clock, and one false move means death for everyone involved. The journey takes them across occupied Yugoslavia, through firefights, ambushes, and local resistance interference. Along the way, the team is joined by local partisans and a female operative posing as a nightclub singer. Predictably, not all of the dozen make it to the end, and true to form, the mission comes down to a daring, explosive finale inside a heavily guarded Nazi stronghold. There are betrayals, sacrifices, and the usual dose of slow-motion gunfights. While the writing lacks the punch of the original, the story delivers enough suspense and pyrotechnics to keep things moving. But if you're looking for subtlety, character arcs, or deep themes, this isn't the place. By 1988, most of the original cast of The Dirty Dozen were either too old or unavailable, but Telly Savalas, a mainstay of the prior sequel, returns in his third outing, now as the no-nonsense but fair Major Reich. Savalas, who had already cemented himself as a pop culture icon through Kojak, brings gravitas and confidence to a role that otherwise might have felt flat. His Major Reich is less volatile than Lee Marvin's Major Reisman, but still carries the authority to keep 12 killers in line. The dozen themselves are a patchwork of B-movie actors, character veterans, and made-for-TV staples. The standouts include Ernest Borgnine as General Worden, a returning face from the original film. Borgnine's presence provides a nostalgic link to 1967 and legitimizes the TV film as part of the franchise. Jeff Conaway, best known from Grease and Taxi, plays one of the more charismatic members of the team. Matthew Burton, a British actor with a long stage career, is cast as the cold and efficient Nazi antagonist. Eric Estrada, of Chips fame, provides some charm and levity, though his performance never quite fits the grim tone of the mission. Heather Thomas plays the glamorous female resistance fighter, serving both as a plot device and a love interest, though her character never evolves beyond stereotype. The lack of character depth is where the fatal mission suffers most. In the original film, each of the dozen had a distinct backstory, motivations, and memorable moments. Here, most of the convicts are reduced to action cliches. Gruff, tough guys with few lines and even fewer emotional beats. Still, the chemistry among the cast, while shallow, is passable. There's some camaraderie, a few moments of dark humor, and the occasional moral dilemma, but the movie doesn't slow down long enough to let any of it develop meaningfully. Ultimately, the cast does what it can with a script focused more on action than heart. By the late 80s, made-for-TV war movies were dying breeds. Budgets were tighter, censorship stricter, and expectations lower. The Fatal Mission was shot on a modest budget, primarily in Yugoslavia, leveraging local locations and talent to mimic war-torn Europe. Director Lee H. Katzin, who helmed the deadly mission as well, returned to finish the franchise. Katzin's work is competent but uninspired. He sticks to the basics: tight framing, mid-budget explosions, and an over-reliance on quick-cut editing to simulate tension. The film's production values are exactly what you'd expect from late 80s television. The action is serviceable but not spectacular. Squibs go off, grenades fly, and there's plenty of running, ducking, and shooting, but nothing compares to the brutal choreography or gritty realism of the original 1967 film. Where the original used wide shots and suspenseful pacing to build tension, The Fatal Mission leans on montage and dramatic music. The soundtrack is generically patriotic, with orchestral swells signaling heroism and quiet piano notes for fallen comrades. Costumes and sets do their job, but barely. Nazi uniforms look off the rack, and the Balkan villages resemble backlots dressed up with hay bales and crates. Still, the film manages a few decent set pieces. A raid on a Nazi convoy and a final infiltration of a mountain fortress both feel large-scale, if only just. The use of practical effects keeps it grounded, and while there's nothing groundbreaking here, it doesn't feel entirely cheap. In terms of pacing, The Fatal Mission knows what it is. It keeps things moving, limits exposition, and ensures there's an explosion or shootout every 10 minutes or so. At its heart, The Dirty Dozen has always been about redemption. Men who had lost everything being given one last shot, not just at freedom, but at purpose. That core idea is what gave the original film its emotional power. The Fatal Mission tries to echo that theme, but it mostly comes off as a surface-level homage. The characters are not given enough development to explore their inner demons or potential redemption arcs. Instead, the film focuses on the idea of duty. Major Wright isn't interested in glory or morality, just results. The same goes for the dozen. They're not here to find redemption. They're here to get the job done, because nobody else can or will. That harder, more cynical tone reflects the changing tastes of the 80s. Where the original film had moments of tragedy and irony, this one is more straight-faced and patriotic. It's less interested in questioning authority and more about defeating the bad guys. In terms of legacy, The Fatal Mission is both a conclusion and a footnote. It wraps up the series with a familiar formula: assemble the team, train them, infiltrate enemy lines, blow stuff up, and kill Nazis. It doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, and maybe that's okay. Not every sequel needs to be revolutionary. Sometimes fans just want one last ride. The Dirty Dozen, The Fatal Mission is not a great film. It's not even a particularly good one. But for fans of the franchise, it delivers exactly what it promises: a team of misfits on a suicide mission in World War II, doing what no one else can. Telly Savalas gives it his all, even if the material isn't quite up to the level of his performance. The action is competent, the plot is straightforward, and the stakes are high enough to keep viewers engaged. But compared to the 1967 original, or even the more memorable TV sequel Next Mission, The Fatal Mission feels like a shadow of what once was. The characters are thinner, the dialogue weaker, and the themes undercooked. It's more of a tribute act than a true continuation. Still, there's a certain charm to watching this aging franchise give it one last go. If nothing else, The Fatal Mission stands as a time capsule of late 80s war TV filmmaking, when grit met budget restraints and patriotism was king. So, was this the Fatal Mission for the Dirty Dozen franchise? Yes and no. While no further sequels were produced, the spirit of the dozen lived on in countless imitations, parodies, and spiritual successors. And for fans who just want to see Nazis get what's coming to them, well, The fatal mission delivers that in spades.